Okay, so here we are, finishing out our last bit in the book of Colossians. And what we have looked at so far is that Christ is the image of the invisible God. He created all things. He holds all things together. We saw that He is preeminent. He is the utmost, the highest, the point, the goal, the purpose behind it all is Jesus Christ. And we compared Christ to multiple things, the traditions and wisdom of man, the systems and ways that the world works. Should you follow those or should you follow Christ? And we see Christ is better. And then we looked at tradition and legalism, religious activity to earn the favor of God, or faith in Jesus Christ. And we saw that Jesus Christ is better. And so now as we close up in Colossians, what we've looked at is the purpose for which God made everything and how we are to follow Christ, how that following of Christ works itself out in our daily life, in our relationships with other people. Colossians 3:18 through 4:6 focuses on specific personal relationships, but in that context it is showing the bigger, grander point of God's design. And we see that played out in Genesis. You have to go back and lay that foundation to know what is wrong with mankind. If you do not understand the heart of man, you don't understand the commands of Christ and what following Him is supposed to look like. We see in Genesis 1 that God makes everything very good, and then He creates man and commands Adam, do not eat of the tree of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. And so we see that God creates man and woman. It says they are naked and unashamed, and this tells us that they were innocent. It is symbolic of the innocence and the purity of mankind. However, they get deceived, they eat the fruit, and they lose the innocence. Mankind's innocence is gone. And then so when God comes to Adam and Eve, what they do is they push the blame on someone else. And so we see that not only is innocent lost, but that pride has taken over. There is now something in us, this pride, this selfishness that we inherit from Adam and Eve, from our original parents, where we receive selfishness and a pride and a bent, an inclination, a desire to rebel against God. There's something in us that wars against God, and it seeks to elevate ourselves over others. And as you go through Colossians 3:18 through 4:6, what you see is over and over again, it's saying, do this because of the Lord. Do this because it's fitting to the Lord. Do this because it pleases the Lord. And as you look through each and every one of these relationships, that it is saying, in this relationship, here's how you should act. And you look for how selfishness versus selflessness plays its part. Wives, submit to your husbands as is fitting in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and do not be bitter towards them. Children, obey your parents, for this is pleasing to the Lord. Fathers, do not provoke your children, lest they become discouraged. Servants, obey your masters in all things with sincerity of heart. Do heartily as to the Lord and not unto men. Masters, give your servants what is just and fair, knowing that you also have a master in heaven. And when you break all of these down, look at what our natural inclination, our desire, our want is for. Wives, submit to your husbands. I'm not going to submit to no man. I don't need no man over me, right? There's this thing in you that wants to say no, but that is selfish. And Christ is saying, be selfless. Husbands, love your wives and do not be bitter towards them. Well, you don't understand what my wife is like. You don't know what it's like with this woman. It's not the point. Quit thinking of yourself and love her. Children, obey your parents. Oh, but they're so unreasonable. They're so unfair. The rules are so stupid. It's not about you. That's your pride talking. It's not selfishness, it's selflessness. Servants, obey your masters. Masters, I shouldn't have no master. Obey. It's not about you. Masters, do not mistreat your servants. Well, I'm going to put him straight, not doing his job. I'm going to show. No. It's not about you. All through the Bible, we see declaration after declaration after declaration of not about you. Put others first. Love your neighbors. Love your enemies. Do not curse those who harm you. Do not repay evil for evil. Repay evil with good. Bless and do not curse. Pray for your enemies. Love your enemies. Go the extra mile. Over and over and over again. First shall be last. Last shall be first. If you want to be the greatest in the kingdom, you must become a servant of all. Jesus says these things over and over because the idea is God created us to live in relationship, caring for others. But the pride in our hearts stirs us to selfishness and our own desires and what we want. In Colossians, Paul is saying, no, set this straight. You have put that life aside. You are now following Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ says, love others more than you love yourself. Selfishness has no place in your life. Our relationships in life should be characterized by selfless and by sacrifice. And it's not just because it's nice, but because this is the way God has designed the world to work. This is who He has designed us to be. Our relationships go better. Our lives tend to go better whenever we live out a life of selflessness and sacrifice. Loving others, caring for others, serving others, not always looking for our own gain and our own betterment, but instead service and love. Because that is the way God designed it to go. Will it always work? No, we live in a fallen world where there are corrupt people, and sometimes bad things just happen, and that will not be fixed until we get to heaven. But whether it works or not is not the point. The point is God says, this is a better way. This is what I made you for. Do this. Don't be selfish. Don't be prideful. Let me show you a better way.